is the athletic committee, and who is on the athletic committee?
Well, Nick and I and Mr. King, but I wasn't on it last year, so I can't speak
All
to
right.
the minutes.
So these are questions that, how would you recommend that we do this, Mr. King? The minutes need to be approved.
I think we should approve them.
Okay. So
I move to approve.
I make a motion that we approve, and if that meets your expectations,
I'll first, second, or third, whatever.
30, okay. Okay, the minutes are approved. I have I do not have anything to discuss with the Building and Grounds Committee other than the tennis courts. All right. So how are we going to handle the tennis courts, folks?
What are we doing now, Mr. Stapp?
Well, we're gonna look at it in the budget for this next year and see if we can line item enough to take care of one school, and then the following year, I would recommend taking care of the other school.
Now, if I recall, we had about 35 students between both courts at CCHS and Stone Memorial High School. Is there any way that we can reduce the number of courts from 6 to 4?
I can look into that. I'll have to talk to the coaches and the principals and the athletic directors.
I think tournaments might dictate some of that.
You need 8 courts to run a tournament, so.
Why would we need to limit?
We can do tournaments somewhere else.
Yeah. And I don't, one of the things that I've talked with Mr. Stepp about is, could we look at maybe doing shared courts? Do we need courts at both the schools, or can we build them out in a shared situation? Just think there's a lot of options that maybe we can talk about, making it cost effective.
I think so too. Did you, Mr. Stepp, by
Safdie?
any chance, did you have an opportunity to talk to people at the state park or any place, Fairfield Glade? I mean, are there other tennis courts in Cumberland County that our students can use while we figure this thing out?
Both of the principals, well, would you like to answer that, Dr. Maddox? You've been working on it.
Yeah, we've got, as far as right now, Stone Memorial still has access to the majority of their courts. I think there's 1 to 2 that are in bad shape with the large cracks. But now Cumberland County High School has worked out with Peggy Perrone at Camp Ottawa to use their facility for practice.
Boy, that's a 25-minute drive there, maybe even 30.
Mayland.
How long does it take to get there? Do you know? I haven't been there in years.
I would say approximately 20 to 25 minutes, because my son lives out on Plateau Road. So but that takes me from, since I live right here close to CCHS.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So,
Mr. Safdie,
Yes.
why would we need to limit the courts? Put it down to 4 instead of the 6?
cost,
But does this take away meets? I mean, meets that they would have or not?
I think that's a good question for the director of schools and the finance officer and
Coaches.
the supervisor of maintenance and the principals to talk about. I mean, I don't know the answer to
Okay,
that.
thank you, thank you.
You're welcome.
It would make the matches much longer.
As far as the auditorium bid, we did have money that was built into that in case, they had overcharges that needed to cover that. And one of the items was the tennis court to go ahead and have them do. We didn't go ahead and approve to have the tennis courts done because we didn't have all the funds for that at that point. Would we still be able to go ahead and use those funds and have them do the tennis courts if that's available for the CCH project? Because that's money that would be already out there for that.
You mean any money that was budgeted that we don't use? Is that what you're talking? The
For
board-
that.
Board would vote on that. They'd have to vote on that.
That was an option that they had given us that they could go ahead and do as well. Is that, and we would have to go ahead and revisit and have them, okay.
But I can talk to Uplands about that.
But that's one way to get one of the schools done, and then we would just have to go ahead and worry about Stone and have that one done.
Do stones need to be completely redone, or yes?
They, yes.
Not only because of the current status of them, but also because they are laid out in a
Facing the wrong
east-west.
way, yeah.
They're facing
Yeah.
the wrong way.
Yes.
That was a good point.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that was about 500, is that correct?
They were-
Yeah, 500 for each one.
Yeah, back in the day, they're estimating around $1 million, but that was when they were doing budget a couple of years ago. So I'm sure, to Ms. Bray's point, that's gonna come in higher too.
We'll see. I'm optimistic.
Yeah.
All right. Are there any other questions that you have for Mr. Stepp about the tennis courts or anything other that's been taking place?
I had a couple of things I just wanted to address under other discussion, but it wasn't necessarily for Mr. Stapp, it was for,
Let me ask him one more question about the athletics. How's our field house coming along, our practice?
Going well, they're getting it going, laying block.
That's good. When do they think it'll be ready?
It'd be the spring, I think February, March is the deadline, March.
Depends on the weather, because they're doing line block now.
Well, I think it's really, really wonderful that $100,000+ was raised by the boosters to fund this
Yeah,
project.
awesome.
As I said in Trousdale, when I heard what was going on in their work session, they only had $20,000 in volunteers had raised, which is significant. I mean, that's wonderful too, but this is just incredible.
huge amount.
All right.
Yeah. Okay,
Ms.
thank you.
Stout.
Yeah, so just a couple of things that I wanted to bring up while we were all together as a whole for committees. One, I had an ask. I know that originally tonight was going to be, we started with the 9th for Budget Committee, which Miss Boston wanted to hold, and so we set up our other committees aligned with that, so we could try to do it all one evening like we talked about, which is, I think has gone really good.
It's good.
Really
It's
good.
been great. But then the budget committee was canceled. I would ask that when we all meet next month as committee, that even if there's not something that needs to be discussed budget-wise on the agenda, that we at least get the minutes on there to approve from the 3 outstanding May budget committee meetings, like we approved the athletic meetings tonight, meeting minutes tonight, because it's 8 months now. You know, and we've changed members on committees and things have changed. So I think for transparency, we need to get those approved next month, get it on the agenda and approved next month.
Right, and I am of the opinion that if the budget committee doesn't meet before the full board meeting, that this is taken up as an issue for voting and approving the minutes at the full board meeting.
Well, and I had asked for that in December, but I was told no, that the budget committee would do it when they met next, and then it was announced it was gonna be January 9th. So
Well, we'll-
hopefully we can, yes, if they
We'll
don't
get
meet
this thing
before then we
settled,
can get
okay.
it done. Yeah, move on. And then the other question was that since we met this week, which is a little bit earlier than the standing committee meetings that we normally have, they'd be next week, right? Our
No.
policy and
It was
building
the
and
second, it
ground.
was always the second week.
I'm sorry, Elizabeth, I didn't.
It was always the second week
It was
of the month,
Second Tuesday.
second Wednesday.
Second
Wednesday and second Monday, but my calendar was showing that would have been next week, not this week,
Oh, no.
based on how it outlined. But anyway, can we settle on a date that would work good, a standing, the Tuesday,
A
the
second
week prior
Tuesday is
to the
great.
Thursday, or is this too early in the month? Do we want to do it a little closer to our actual?
We wanted to do them earlier in the month because we needed to have any approvals that are made in the committees that need to go to the
Sure.
the full.
I just want to make sure we're not
board
doing it
meeting.
so early that Mr. Stepp and his staff have time to get together and bring forward what they need to bring forward for us at committee meetings. I know we would want to do it at least a week out from the board meeting, if not more, like the Tuesday, the week before the board meeting or something along those
Does the
lines.
second week work for you,
This-
Mr. Stepp?
We'll make whatever work. I mean,
The second Tuesday would be wonderful.
As long as it works for you and the team.
It works
It
for
did
me,
this
but
time.
I don't know
Yeah.
if it works for the staff.
Second Tuesday?
February
Sound
Are you
13th.
all right with that? Yeah.
Okay.
Nick said
Okay.
it works for him too.
Okay.
So we'll move forward. So that means in February, the second Tuesday will be the 13th.
And
So those of us
4:30?
coming back from the legislative and legal
4:30? We're doing 4:30.
will need to be back in time for the meetings.
I don't know.
Why did we choose 4 o'clock when we always did 4:30? Didn't we always do 4:30?
I think that's because
Yeah, it's
Teresa
at
had
4:30.
called the budget committee to start at 4. But
I think it's good for my people,
If we do it at 4?
yes.
Because you guys can go home. Like we wanna go home. Okay.
everybody can make it at 4.
Okay.
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, so the 13th then will be our next one at 4 o'clock.
Okay.
February 13th at 4 o'clock. Thank you, Shannon.
You're welcome.
Me.
But in the meantime, we're still gonna vote on the minutes next meeting.
At the board meeting, you mean?
Unless there's a special called budget or actually a committee meeting called between, I guess the question that I have, and I will allow your question and comment, is there, do you foresee in the next 2 weeks before our next full board meeting, a reason to have a budget committee meeting? Is there something that needs to be done at the budget committee meeting?
All I was gonna do, and I'm gonna do this Saturday, was show y'all samples of salary schedules of different counties that have
Yes.
updated those and modernized them, and also what the flat rate for supervisors would look like instead of percentages. So I think Saturday, the end of the day, is the school board's role in budget. So I figured I'd just share it then too, probably share it before then, so y'all can look at it and ask me any questions before Saturday.
Just verify that.
It's
with-
just samples, it's nothing that's
Right.
finalized for this county, I just wanna show you what it would look like in a simpler format.
Just coordinate with Teresa, and it'll all work out.
Mr.
I'm going
Saffey, I think that we, as a budget committee, said that we wanted Mr. Stepp to do some of this. Like Mr. King, am I correct that we charged ourselves to do that?
Yeah.
That we were gonna look into how we were gonna do the salary, so he's presenting that to us.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
And I
Right.
think there's gonna be a lot of work that's gonna need to be done around it. And last year, we talked about it at budget time, and it was too late to do anything with it, so it's
I assure
important to
you,
start early.
Ms. Beret's been working very hard at it, so.
Thank you, Ms. Bray.
All right, I'm going to, if there are no other issues, I'm going to thank the staff and the director of schools for being here. I want to thank all of the concerned citizens who have arrived promptly and listened carefully. Are there any questions from the press?
Do you anticipate any savings in the auditorium?
We're not sure yet, we're not far enough into that project to know. That's why there's a cushion there, it's just in case, you don't know what's gonna happen. in
Yeah.
That large of a construction project.
Although we've not done this before in a committee meeting, but is there a question from the audience?
I have one.
Okay,
It's actually not a question. It just is information. I've been doing a lot of light reading on Robert's Rules of Order. And when committees don't meet for substantial lengths of time, they can appoint a minutes committee to approve the minutes without having a meeting. And I would encourage this organization to look into that, because when you conclude a committee in May and you don't meet again until next February, it might behoove you to have something that can approve those minutes more expeditiously, because it would be to everyone's benefit to wrap it up while your memories are more fresh. Do the committee members even remember if that was accurate of the reflection?
I understand, I just went through 70 pages of minutes from the budget. I mean, okay, can you send me, would you care to send me a copy of that in Robert's Rules of Order so that we can,
It's just,
we
it's a
can look at that?
consideration, and I've been a part of an organization that did do that, because, you know, they just wanted to go ahead and wrap
We
up.
can add that to a policy if necessary. If you don't, yes, ma'am.
Oh, sorry. Thank you guys for all you do, appreciate it. A quick question on the bidding process and the cost. How is that determined? And is that perhaps the winning company or organization, is that factored into
That was
their
great.
final cost?
Yeah, law dictates how we do that through the comptroller's office. Ms. Bray, do you want to elaborate a little bit?
Basically, anything over $25,000 has to run through a contractor and it has to go out for bid. So we use Uplands Designs. They take care of all that. It goes to the county finance director. He is the one that actually sends out to the bidders. We have a bid list. And then everybody submits their bids. We open seal bids on a designated day.
Sure.
Then the architect takes them back to make things, everything is apples to oranges and just the way it should be, and then we award the bid.
But I mean, what's lowest and best bid?
together.
Correct.
But what's the cost of the actual bid? I think, or did I may have misheard that. There's a cost,
Yes, the architect gets a fee for
Okay,
putting it
just
all
the
together.
architect.
Correct.
Okay,
not
so
the
not the
companies.
bidders.
No.
not the bidders.
Gotcha.
Okay, that's what I
Very good.
misunderstood.
I think what is,
Okay.
Who's putting the proposal together?
the standard
Gotcha.
architecture fee is what, 7%?
But it depends on the project, anywhere from 6 to 7, some
Yeah.
I've seen
Okay,
that.
Gotcha.
gotcha.
But
Thank
this
you.
is the
I
architect.
appreciate
I
that.
understand.
Gotcha.
Much
All right,
better.
thank you.
All right, one more question.
I'd just like to congratulate the board on their effort in having 4/5 of a work session today.
Yeah.
And I
Yes, yes, great.